That's a nice spot. Let's say that I reduce the sugar, so instead of 3, I'm going to do 1.
That's a beautiful sugar dish.
This? Yeah, it's really
that's nice. Let me hold it here. Let me keep it close to me.
You're showing off.
Yes.
Be humble, Grace. Be humble.
Not the teapot.
These are earthly things made with human hands.
They are beautiful, though.
Okay.
Nilikuwa na mchumba wangu, tulipendana kama nyama choma. Alibahatika kwenda ng'ambo, chuo kikuu kwenda kusoma. Miaka 3 kule Japani, kusomea udakitari. Stella wangu. Kumechacha!
Kumechacha, Grace.
Kumechacha.
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 Tulisema kumechacha.
Yani kulichacha.
Tulisema kutachacha, kutachacha, kumechacha. I tell you this.
Yes.
Hello everybody.
Hello.
And welcome to Kumechacha.
Kumechacha.
We are at Tujipange Studios in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. And we want to give a shout out to everybody. But before that, habari Diaspora.
Habari Diaspora.
Hello Diaspora.
Mwamburi.
Oya ore urunyikwajo kanyana.
Amoso uchamge.
Chamgeni friends in the Rift Valley.
Which other one? That is our Kisi brothers. Mbiore.
Mbiore wa Kisi brothers.
Our coastal brothers. Assalamu alaikum.
Wambaje. We need to learn Taita. I don't know how
that's the only thing we know right now, my friend.
That is the language that freshly Mwamburi spoke when he went to get Stella at the airport.
Welcome.
Mrembe, watu wetu wa Western, Mrembe, Oriena, bari wetu Bunyore, Bukustu, Bungoma.
Where we forgotten in Central, Eastern Province.
Watu wetu wa Central.
Our relatives in Masai land, Samburu.
Aterere, have we greeted everybody?
Oh, Aterere, yes.
Oh, and always loving our 44th tribe of Kenya, our Indian community.
I know the second one.
Sarucho. No. Kemcho.
Sarucho. You know I say Sarucho. It's time for rubbing the boat.
Sarucho. Rubbing the boat. Sarucho.
Yes.
Hey, Tarunam Suche. Marunam Grace. Tarunam Suche is what's your name? Marunam Grace.
Oh, Marunam Grace.
Yes.
Look at us. We are learning new languages.
Okay,
and last but not least.
Yes.
Ni hao.
Ni hao. That's a Chinese greeting. Mandarin. Ni hao. Today we are
international.
Kumechacha na China. Kumechacha na Chinese.
Kumechacha na Chinese.
So we have a lot of fans who've joined us during the week. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
It's just been amazing. It's been overwhelming. We are humbled by your support. This is our 5th show, Grace.
5th show,
episode 5. And you'll be watching us in YouTube. Soon.
We're on YouTube, Facebook. Our videos are on Facebook.
Yeah, even if you're not in this morning, you can watch us anytime in the week.
You can still catch us.
Yes, so Grace said we were going to give a big shout out.
Yeah, we're going to give shout out to our friends. We thank our viewers. We've seen so many comments, so many inboxes, so many DMs, and we can only have a few. But keep watching, keep commenting. Your name may be the next person on our next episode.
Yes.
So I want to give a shout out to Kuitu Kenya Women in the United States, and specifically the PA chapter. I want to say a special thanks to Marsha Lily and Jen. I know you are watching.
Doing a great job in the US and in Kenya as well. So
very
you can contact them whether you're in Kenya or you're in the US. They are great for Diaspora.
And Grace, who do you have?
I have a lot of shout outs. As you know, I have 1,000 friends.
1,000 friends.
But thank you, Anshi Codrain, for supporting us. Christine Absela Onyango, a big shout out for supporting our show. Otieno Ougonya Kwara Dual. I don't know which part of Kenya you come from on Diaspora, but you're welcome. Rumona Apio Terence, thank you so much. Happy Sabbath. I know you're in church today. Ladonna, my baby giraffe.
Baby giraffe.
Oh, so today I wore this special.
In dedication
to
the giraffe.
The giraffe, the animal that sees far. Anaona mbali sana.
Yes. Major shout out. Who else do you have there?
Oh, I have Alice Kirui.
Hi,
Thank
Alice.
You. And our favorite Mohammed Jackson,
Thank
our
you for
fan
watching.
every Saturday.
Alice, I know last week you were talking about making toast. I'm glad we brought back Kenyan French toast to you. I hope you cooked it.
Yes, and Susan Thomas and family, as you are out in vacation.
Make a shout out.
Thank you. Make a big shout out to you.
And this is a shout out to not just Kenyans that watch it, Africans, even Americans who are watching
American
the show.
Kenyans are friends. Yeah. Yes, and Letitia Taka, I hope you are watching because we are gonna bring our guests here to the show. You know who we are talking about.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, so
and to Freshly Mwamburi, a big shout out for composing that song and for spoiling my birthday, May the 17th, with Stella and the 4-foot Japanese.
So we dedicate this episode with the special gratitude to Freshly Mwamburi for this show.
Yeah, because we're talking Chinese, although many Kenyans think it's Japanese. Grace, what are we having for breakfast?
We're having for breakfast. I don't know if you have seen this. But we need to bring out the chopsticks.
Actually, we are having Chinese food for breakfast.
We are having Chinese food
because we've been all over China City. As you learned during our prompt, we went to China City in Philadelphia.
Chinatown, my friend.
Chinatown.
Yes,
Chinatown.
Chinatown.
And I did eat Chinese ninja chicken. I don't know. People, some of our viewers are questioning whether it was real chicken, but I know that in the menu they wrote Chinese ninja chicken. And being adventurous with food, and I don't want to be suspicious when I go to a restaurant, I believe what they put on the meal. Yeah, it's what it was. Yeah.
So today we are having this is vegetarian roll. So the roll has I think it has cabbage, it has carrots.
Yes, why are you using? Are you Chinese? Why are you using?
Training. We are a global citizen.
Why are you using sticks to eat?
Because they are Kenyan-Chinese relatives among us. We cannot be caught. Utaki kuachwa nje at the dinner table. So we learn to hold the chopsticks, my friend.
These are chopsticks.
But, even you can...
I think I prefer them. I don't want to be Chinese. I prefer the fork. I think the fork is... But try it. Show us.
Maybe show us. Maybe let me show you. Show.
In fact, I'll just use my fingers. I don't like eating with...
So this is vegetarian roll. It's you can get like these rolls at the store, the supermarket. I think they're called. I'm not sure what they're called, but you roll it with some vegetables and you eat it. It's yummy. Another thing here is dumplings, and this fried chicken dumplings. So it's like a dough, and they fold it and then they cook it in front on the pan after they've steamed it. So you can eat it like this. We have spices that accompany it. So this one is soy sauce. It's a accompaniment in many Asian cuisines. What is that?
Sticks.
Oh,
this I can use this to comb my hair.
Grace, maybe you need to go to China. You need to be more global. We need to be more global. And another thing here is jalapeno sauce.
It would be very shameful if I went to the village and started eating with sticks.
Why are you going eating with sticks?
Do you think the Japanese boy was eating with sticks? When Stella came back...
You know, when they go on that airplane, they were eating with sticks.
Yeah, when Stella was coming back from...
This is jalapeno sauce. This is chili. It's a type of green chili that you can also have. So let me demonstrate. Ikianguka, please don't laugh. But you take it like this. Maybe you dip a little bit.
Mayo. Mayo. Whoa, no.
Flour.
Okay.
But don't sit next to your friend who will laugh while you're eating it.
Do you think it's a really good idea to eat with chopsticks?
I think it is.
What's wrong with your fingers? Why did God give you your fingers?
According to Confucius, that the reason why Chinese tend to use chopsticks is because a fork was seen as a sign of war. Like it's a pitchfork and all the stuff. So in the spirit of you need to communicate your Confucianism in everything that you do, they decided chopsticks are easier than having implements that can show violence or whatever. So that's why they're using chopsticks. If I
had to use these things made with human hands, I would go for the fork because they were colonized by the British. But food food tastes better when you eat it with your fingers.
Food tastes better when I eat it with a spoon or I go tonji.
And then how do you lick your fingers? Like now I'm licking the oil from the rolls. How would you lick your fingers when you're using chopstick?
You lick the oil from the thing.
You lick the chopstick.
You lick the chopstick. It's called globalization.
Okay, anyway, so that is introduction to China. 101, China 101.
China 101, starting with breakfast. And I want to, before we get into our topic, what did we do? How's your weekend been? I hope you had a great week.
Every Saturday morning we check in. Do you want to do a check-in?
Yeah, so I want to check in. Yeah, check-in is a way for us to check in with our audience, our community. How are you doing this week? How has your week been? I know some of you have had great weeks. Some of you have had not so great weeks. But one of the concepts that we want to stress every week is the concept of self-care. Taking care of yourself no matter what's happening around you. So for my self-care this week, that's why I referenced the Kwitu women specifically, because it was a way for me to get away. You know, sometimes those online groups can be filled with laughter. There's a sense of kinship. So I felt very close to people, and people are so forthcoming, like, you know, loving videos, just talking honestly. It felt nice. It felt nice to relate to people. And then at the beginning of our first episode, we were talking about why associations like this are so important. I want to say this week it really lifted my spirits. What about you?
Oh, so for me, I reconnected with an old friend and her family, who are my family friends in Kisumu when I was still in high school and primary school. And I want to give a big shout out to Betty Adera and Susan Adera Wing and family, and Mom Owing and Christine Owing for getting in touch, looking me up and getting in touch and giving me a surprise call from Texas. I haven't heard from the family for over 30 years.
Wow.
So we reconnected, we talked about old stuff, and they assured me that they're watching my back and that I shouldn't suffer if I have anything that I need help with, that I can reach out to them. So thank you so much. That was really, really, really
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yes. So my friends.
And as you know, old is gold.
Old is gold.
Yeah. So old friends, I think old friends are normally really good. Although you drop some along the way.
It's quality. It's a quality of friendship. And I'm glad you found that. I'm glad you reconnected this week. So my friends. Nilikuwa na mchumba wangu, tulipendana kama nyama choma, alibahatika kwenda ngambo, chuo kikuu kwenda kusoma, miaka 3 kule Japani, kusomea udaktari, Stella wangu. Nakwambia hapa Stella amechacha.
Stella alichacha May 17, 1962.
It's
really
not
spoiling for people's birthdays.
Yeah.
So this reminds us,
So let's get into the topic. Why are we singing Stella?
We are singing Stella because Stella had a harambe done for her by her mchumba, that's her fiance, to go and study Daktari, medicine. But she went to study other things. In addition to that. We don't know if she even came back with a certificate. And this is a challenge because a lot of the times you leave your country and your family see you off at the airport. People sell their goats. People sell their cows. But they have high expectations. They really expect a lot from you. But when you come to the U.S., you find that things are different, expenses are different, life is different, and then love follows people everywhere. So you find that in the midst of your studies and all these skills, you happen to fall in love with the person you least expected. Because when you're coming from Kenya, you didn't know that you're going to meet a 4-feet Japanese or Chinese.
Let's come back around to let's bring people back. You know, at the beginning of the week, we were talking about Chinatown. And it got us thinking about, and that's where Stella started coming out in our head. Shout out to Limuru Girls, Chokzerians. You made that song stick in my head. It's going nowhere.
Yes.
But you got us to thinking about Asians, and more specifically, the Chinese in America, Chinese in Kenya. And we can expand that a bit to include like the broader definition of what we call Asians Chinese. But we were in Chinatown over the weekend. Over the week, we saw a lot of construction, and we started us thinking about all these things that are happening in Kenya, about Chinese involvement in Kenya, our own understanding, our own prejudices, and moving forward. What do we do? So, Grace, pick a story.
Oh, so we were in Chinatown. I tell you, it was hot, as we said. It was so hot that we were shocked. Actually.
Our brains were boiling.
We couldn't think. I don't know if you've ever been in a position where the sun does not even want you to think. The sun does not want you to wear clothes. And here in the U.S., probably in other countries, probably in Italy, when it's summer, people cannot wear clothes. The sun does not want you to wear clothes.
It does not allow you.
Yeah, so you start wearing you're borrowing clothes from your baby. You wear such tight little things. to save yourself from because this summer mid-heat causes madness.
It's a heat wave.
Yeah, but if some of the things that people wear here can make our ancestors stand in their graves, because it is something you cannot wear in Nairobi. It's something you cannot wear in any part of Africa that I know, because then I don't know what would happen. It would be a bit disrespectful. We are not judging, but we just brought that up because when we went to Chinatown, we wished we could remove our clothes.
Just like run around.
But what helped us was we had these nice Kenyan outfits. Yes. They are very, very light.
Let me show you. This is a zebra crossing.
Zebra.
I can walk anywhere in Africa.
Giraffe. Tiga. Yeah, this is giraffe.
Twiga. Nice zebra.
So,
what is zebras in Kiswahili, my friend? Zebra ni pundamilia. Yes,
okay.
Pundamilia. Zebras. Yes.
And what is giraffe?
Twiga. Twiga.
Tiga mutebor. Giraffe. Yeah, so so we just want to encourage you. You might find it. They're American clothes, and they kind of used to harsh weather. But some of us carry our culture with us. Mwachamila ni mtumwa. Although this is ironic because they also say when in Rome, do as the Romans do. But we are still unable to do as the Americans do because some of these clothes are a little... You kind of feel ashamed to wear them or shy to wear them.
I think it depends because you see... I think it depends on the person. And I think it's a big issue of tuko high and we are free and we have options.
Yeah,
you just admire them doing what they are doing or just look at them. And you just hope that the winter breaks.
And some people really look nice in the baby clothes. They accept that the baby clothes. When I came here and people were wearing such small clothes, I thought maybe someone had been robbed and they didn't have any more clothes. But we just want to encourage those who are interested in wearing nice, comfortable, light clothes. You can always go for a different option. You can wear your baby clothes if you want, but we like these ones. We like the nice Kenyan light clothes.
We're fans. Yeah,
the fans.
Yeah.
So when we were in Chinatown, I had gone to eat Chinese chicken.
And I went for water ice.
Chinese chicken ninja. Yeah, and the question that arose, a little doubt arose in my mind. I'm sorry to say I've been as prejudiced as a lot of us. I was not sure whether what I was eating was chicken or dog meat. Yeah.
See, that's prejudice.
It is?
It's prejudice.
Why
but
prejudice?
It's prejudice because the first thing that comes into your head is doubt. Now, and it's doubt specifically based on like a myth or something that you have no concrete evidence about. And if it's something they advertise as chicken, now it's not saying that we have to be confident and honest in it. It's okay to say that you experienced a moment where you may have been prejudiced. Yeah, but why were you thinking that?
I was thinking that because a lot of the times I remember when I first I was doing my internship in one of the TV stations in Kenya. That was in I think it's 98 or 99. And some dogs started disappearing from suddenly some parts of the city. And so someone called, and I was doing investigative reporting then. Someone called and asked me to investigate and find out where the dogs were going. And following a link, I found that the dogs were going to Kasarani. And the Chinese had just arrived and were building Kasarani Stadium. That's one of the biggest stadiums in Africa. Yeah, so the Chinese who were brought in as construction workers were hungry. They were starving because they were not comfortable with the food. They didn't like Kenyan food. They couldn't eat ugali. They couldn't eat mrenda. They couldn't eat mchicha. They couldn't eat githeri. They wanted their meat. Yeah. So on a live interview on one of the stations, someone came up and confessed that he was the one stealing people's dogs from the estates and selling them to the Chinese. And a big dog was going for about 1,000 Kenyan shillings, which was very expensive in 1998. Wow. And the little puppies were more expensive and were going for 5,000 Kenyan shillings. So he confessed that he was helping the Japanese not to starve because he was just being human. So word went around that the Japanese were eating dogs. So I did go...
Japanese or Chinese?
Sorry, the Chinese. We keep confusing the Japanese and Chinese. I don't know
pay attention to the broadcast because we're coming back around.
Because I keep talking about the Japanese, but it's Chinese. But we always used to lump them together. Whether they were Japanese, Indian, Chinese, we just knew they were Chinese. Yeah. So
this is part of a bigger conversation that we're having. These examples, like the story, the KTN, was it KTN?
Yeah, it was
the KTN article, the story that you shared in 1998, right? It's 2018, and for over 20 years, even more, there's been increasing involvement of China in Africa in both ways, back and forth.
Yeah.
And we've got to talking about, there's been a lot of discourse on the news about China's footprint in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
There's been also a lot of discourse about like China, Chinese are all over the world. You know, how many did you say, like, they themselves are a population of 1.3 billion
Yeah,
people.
in China alone, there is a population of 1.3 billion.
That's like 25 Kenyan countries. I think
Kenya is only 48 million.
48
Kenya is only
million.
48 million,
So
but China has 1.3 million.
Yeah, how many?
And people who are literate in Kenya is only 78%. And in China, they are 96.4% literacy. Chinese who have gone to school and they are educated, are academics, have different careers, are 98.4%, which is like almost 20% higher than Kenya.
So how many Chinese are in East Africa?
In East Africa,
how many are East Africa? How many Chinese are in the
So we've
US?
been complaining that the Chinese are too many, and there are many, but there are only 10,000 Chinese in East Africa. We're not able to get the figures for Kenya, but 10,000 Chinese in East Africa is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And then in France, they have 700,000 Chinese. And America has more than 5 million Chinese.
Right.
And that explains why they have a Chinatown in almost every city.
Every continent.
Every continent.
So we're talking about the concept of the influence of China in our own countries, in our own cultures, from like the smallest bit, from like the relationships of mothers, families, relationships, what does that look like, to the larger conversation, especially when you're talking about it politically.
Yes.
Let's explore this, because there's a lot of mixed feelings when we talk about that concept. And we want to, and I think that as we say every episode, we want to chambua the story. We want to break it down into its parts so we understand it better. And we can have some actionable things to go to take us forward, right?
Yeah, so there's this love-hate relationship. Let me drink my tea.
Drink your tea. Look at these cups, and we were ready for this show.
Yeah, we were ready for this show because we have been using such tiny cups. And when Kenyans drink tea,
Nimekunywa yote imeisha.
No. Grace, you have become Americanized. You can't even share tea.
Utanimwagilia chai.
All right, leave for you my cup.
Here. Yeah, so the love-hate relationship is really
There's a serious love-hate relationship between Kenyans and Chinese. And they're called, this starts again with it started with Kasarani and the dogs. And remember, don't try and kill an American dog.
There's cops.
These American dogs are American citizens. Don't try to eat one. Anyway, so Thika babies. After Kasarani came the Thika babies.
Oh, I will say that not all Chinese eat dogs, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah. Can I give them a hint?
Please.
They are Chinese Catholics.
Yes.
Nasadiki Mungu moja Mungu mbingu na dunia. Na kwa mwana Yesu Kristo mwana wake wa pekee. Nasadiki kwa Mungu. Nasadiki Mungu aliyetuumba. Nasadiki. So Catholic, Chinese Catholics, and we also Catholic Protestants.
Buddhists.
Can you believe what the Catholic Protestants say? No,
that's Catholic.
Yes. Imagine a Chinese Protestant.
That will be the day.
Mwana gandiga Yesu
all Protestants from the Kisumu area.
Shout out to all Chinese Catholics and Protestants.
Yes. Thika babies.
Thika babies have been a serious problem because these Japanese came as construction workers, but they were constructing with one eye and eyeing Kenyan women.
Wanajenga huku na pale wanajenga.
Yeah, wanajenga. So these people, they came, laid their eggs, docked, laid their eggs, and left.
Hit and run.
As soon as the egg hatched, they disappeared. They left Chino-Kenyan babies.
Kenyan-Chinese children.
Chino-Kenyan.
Oh.
Kenyan-Chinese. Chino-Kenyan.
Or if you are Kenyan-Chinese or a person of
Chinese
heritage, please tell
Kenyan
us.
heritage. How do you refer to them?
How would you like us to refer?
Please don't use bad language. Don't call anybody yellow, green, red. They're Kenyan of Chinese origin or Chinese of Kenyan origin. Yes, yeah. And when you come to the US, don't use the word yellow because you'll find yourself accused of
racism
and discrimination.
So pick up babies. And about that lady who at the lineup.
So these Chinese construction workers fathered, according to rumors, hundreds of babies with local women, and then they disappeared. But one young schoolgirl who had a baby with a Chinese man was unable to identify him among hundreds of Chinese construction workers in a parade.
In a lineup.
She went and reported to the police that she had been impregnated. She was a young schoolgirl, underage. They lined up thousands of Chinese men, but they all looked the same.
And if you go to your own country and someone tells you all look the same, don't feel bad because we are here, Kenyans were here doing it.
Yeah, when the missionaries came to my school, I think that time it was Luak girls, high school. Yeah, they said we all looked alike, and we were shocked. We were like, can they see our hair? Can they see I have a Luo nose, this big fat flat nose? How can they say we look alike? Yeah. So the woman was unable to identify the father of the child. I wish she had brought the child because normally there are children who can instinctively tell who their father is. Even if they were born in another country and they meet the father in the street, they'll go, Baba, Baba. Do you remember the street children in Nairobi? They used to stop their fathers. Baba, daddy, it was just so instinctive. The daddy had a great suit, and these are the daddies who would put a 10
and those suits that were made in China in the 1980s once they started.
Yeah, so what we like with freshly Mwamburi's Japanese boy, he came back with Stella. These ones have been having children and disappearing. He came back and stood for the woman and the woman he loved.
Yeah. So
the force behind, how love can drive. Love is so powerful. It can take you thousands of miles.
But let's start. Let us bring the drum. Before we get into, we're just talking about the involvement of China in different facets of the African economy and the Kenyan economy. But before that, we want to share with you how freshly Mwamburi loved this lady.
Imagine.
Nini? Nilivyopenda Stella jamani. Kajitolea kwa roho moja, nikauza shamba langu, sababu yake yeye, nikauza gari langu, sababu yake
yeye, this
sababu yake yeye, ili apate nauli yake na pesa zingine za matumizi kule Japani. Yani, everything, even utensils, I'm sure he did say other things he liked. He probably borrowed. Back then, going abroad was a community thing. Everyone was bringing, take my one chicken, take my one goat, take my one cow. Let's do a harambe to take our child. Our engaged.
This is so painful.
Our engaged.
This is so painful. What Stella did to fresh.
Yeah,
I'm laughing because like Chogo. I'm laughing because like Chogo. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing in cynicism. Like Chogo, Pinky Ban. A big shout out to Josephine Nyasirega.
So the Chinese have been involved in a lot of facets, especially within the past 20 years, and especially as Kenya has expanded with industrialization, has come a lot of needs, and we know in our country there's a lot of deficits that were happening within construction, agriculture, technology, education. So they started with construction, I think, and there were a lot of they're very involved in. I think the Nairobi-Kisumu highway was built with the Chinese company.
Grace,
that road for 20 years was impassable.
You're giving the Chinese a lot of credibility. I'm still interested in this scandal.
No.
This scandal is not over. This scandal is not over. What I chat?
Let me tell you something.
No. What I chat?
No, I'm saying that we need to lay down before we chambua this scandal.
Are you going to let me talk?
I'm going to let you talk, but
but you can't praise the Japanese like that when they are leaving thousands of children. 1 million children.
But they
who are now our relatives. We don't know how to speak Mandarin, and these children have been born in our families. How do you speak? Your brother has had a child with a Japanese girl.
But do you know
how do you talk to your niece?
My sister,
nephew?
Do you know the Thika super highway? 6 lanes one side, 6 lanes both sides.
Thika super highway. Can you eat Thika super highway?
Those Kenyan-Chinese children will run free.
Can you eat it?
they will eat it on the road. 6
Talking
legs.
of Chinese construction
so there's been
workers.
a lot of involvement in with that. That's why there's been a lot of movement back and forth between both countries. Education, there's been a lot of government scholarships programs going back and forth. They're very into tech. If you have a techno phone, Huawei, other phones that cannot be used outside of Africa. Those Chinese, those are the companies. So there's a lot of interest of Chinese materials. Counterfeit also. Have you ever seen counterfeit Royco? Yes. There's been a lot of that, you know? And so, Yani, you've just decided you're going to, this my friend has decided, this my friend has decided it's a scandal. But me, I'm saying,
you know, it's a scandal, and
things.
some of these scandals,
these people are doing things.
They never fail. The Chinese might be doing things, and among the things they're doing is creating families and disappearing. They're creating single mother families.
Not all of them. You can't assume for all of them, because now we have to put everyone in that. How many British soldiers left single mothers in Laikipia? How many? How many left Maasai? How many left Maasai women, light-skinned babies?
Kenyan got independence.
But they were doing it in the 70s.
The Chinese are coming and starting their own town.
I feel
like... convince me. Convince me.
I want
so
to convince you.
Who is better? Is a teacher
it's
better
not
than
even
a
better.
Is a Japanese better than a Chinese?
Kwanza Stella, the way Stella did it was very interesting. Me, I don't know where Stella came from. But what we have to acknowledge that they are here. And they are in every facet of our lives. Even if you're in the urban communities here in Philadelphia, in Center City, you will find a Chinese store at the corner. You know, at the corner of every neighborhood, you'll at least find one Chinese store.
So you know why the Chinese, this Japanese Chinese, whatever boy came? Because the Chinese that time only had one child. They had a one-child policy. That's why he had to follow. It's not like he liked her. He had to follow her all the way in Kenya. This is how they infiltrate.
There's a difference between
Instead
China
of leaving someone.
There's a difference between China and Japan. That's
I thought China is different than Japan.
Yeah, that's where we debunk myths. Japan and China have sometimes very strenuous relationships. So it's important as we're debunking myths, right? We debunk myths and perceptions. But who were Japani? I don't know where he came from. Kwanza, nilitamani kuya kitamba, lakini sikijui na bado. We're going to cry in all languages today. We're going to cry in all languages today. We're going to cry in all languages today.
Yeah, it was hard. But I just want to explain that I'm with Kenyans. I'm with Kenyans. You are with Chinese.
I am on the side of human beings. I'm on the side of human beings.
I'm with Kenyans. You can't come and follow someone's fiancé up to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And then, that he was hard-eyed.
But who told Stella? No, when that ticket was being cut, Stella didn't know where she was going.
So anyway, I was just listening to a BBC interview on the relationship between China and Africa. And one of the reasons that one of the interviewees gave was that China has a one-child policy. And that's why a lot of the Chinese normally run back. Because Kenyans want more children. But Chinese, they're used to one child. So if they marry a Kenyan person, you know how Kenyans have all families and relatives moving in with you, the Chinese just can't stand it. Yeah, they have one child. They're one-child families.
Up until 2013, they were strictly one-child policy, and then as of later November afterwards, they relaxed the policy.
Well, so if they relax the policy, then for the Kenyans or the diasporians who have been feeling constrained and have prejudices over the Chinese, this is the time for you to go beyond your comfort zone. Maybe you can start dating them, because they were afraid because of having the one-child policy. Then maybe you can expand your horizons, and then, because a lot of Kenyans are looking. They're on TV looking. They're on shows looking. The Chinese there, and they're available.
And I'm on the side, I'm on the side of, like, as you said, like, we are also foreigners in this land. I can imagine someone making an assumption about me, or even confusing me for a Ugandan, because honestly, I'm Kenyan. And this is like maybe with the definition of the borders, let's be honest, because borders were put arbitrarily. But we are Kenyan, and don't confuse me for Ugandan. So there's certain, like,
I'm always confused for the South African.
But then we tell them I'm not South African. So I'm on the side of humanity, and also on the side of advocating for our own selves while advocating for other people, because these children, these human beings exist in our families.
Yeah, but even though they exist, Kenyans could have just welcomed the Chinese, but it's the disrespect disrespect and racism that they've been showing.
So
you come into someone's house, they welcome you, and then you push them out.
So the issue of the restaurant, the Chinese restaurant,
yes.
which specifically refused to serve Kenyans.
Yeah.
You know, and this is happening on Kenyan soil. This is happening on African soil. Another scandal that came out was because of SGR. If you go back and read the article, I think that was Standard. Standard Media did a great piece about how the handover, you know, with these projects that are coming in the past 5 or 10 years, I think there was an expectation that we Kenyans had. I don't know if the government had the same expectation that there should be a handover. And as of now, we are hearing that you know, all the languages in Chinese. It's all the Chinese engineers at the top. So who's really, is this a Kenyan thing, or is this like a railway that's being funded by Kenya and the Chinese are benefiting from?
And even I
so these are really big issues.
Yeah, there's another road they were building near the Maro, near the road, the game reserve, where they were supposed to split the shares 30-70, but they were not paying them. Yeah, and then they had a head-on collision.
Wow.
Head-on collision.
Yeah, so those are definite issues that we're having. You know, those are definite issues that we're having in our homes. Like, you need to respect our culture and everything. So you understand why there are mixed feelings, the paranoia, the xenophobia sometimes we get, because then it's an entities that we don't know about. You know,
so the Kenyan families, we are more concerned with these children, these babies in our families. Yeah, how are we handling them? How are we treating them as family? Yeah, are we calling them yellow, and they are our cousins, they are our nieces, they are our grandchildren?
But you know, sometimes, I don't know about you, and this is maybe on a bit of the side, when sometimes people are called yellow or light, they may feel like it's better than being dark skinned, because there's a lot of prejudice against darker skinned Africans. Towards other Africans. So, but it depends on the person, yani, the Kenyan-Chinese person themselves, right? Are you respecting them? They, you know, if they don't want to be called that, then don't do it.
Yeah, and I wonder where these long-term relationships, we'll talk about it sometime later, but in this case of Stella and Freshly, it just didn't work.
But you see,
I
have an issue with Stella, because Stella was one of the early recipients of a brain drain, right?
Was this the Tomboya trip?
No, I think this is a different one.
Okay.
I think
this one alifanya Aram.
Yeah, so this is you know, someone is coming, seeking better opportunities. I know probably a phone call was not doable, but you could have sent a letter. You know, my issue is with Stella. Because this 4-foot Mjapani knows nothing about this country. She came and she has a baby.
You know when it gets hot, I drink my hot tea.
The women are the ones with the womb, my friend. No, there's a responsibility towards Stella.
No, long-term relationship. How was Stella going to... Do you know how long it takes to study medicine? Is it 12 years? And you expected like 4 years. Stella to wait for Freshly for 12 years? For 10 years?
Freshly.
And there was this handsome Japanese, Chinese,
his what? Shamba yake.
Ati aliuza shamba.
Shamba.
Sababu yake.
A farm.
Akauza gari.
A car.
Sababu yake. Akauza ng'ombe.
A cow.
Ana mbuzi.
Goats.
Ati sababu yake nani?
Stella. Those things.
Ati ili apate nauli yake. That's why you should not depend on someone. You should not depend on someone to educate you, to love you. Yeah? Because there are expectations.
There's expectations.
He caged
her. If you know it was gonna be too hard for
life
you,
changes, circumstances
or you don't need to come back.
Come back, Stella wangu. Where?
No, but you know,
give me
Stella.
Keyboard.
Let me tell you who came to
keyboard.
Come back.
Where? We actually printed this song. Come back,
Stella. I still love you, baby. Come back, Stella. I still love you, baby. Nikwende teke nama yako bebya. Stella can. Now she is loved like Nyama Choma in Kachumbari. Do you know how serious that?
How can you love someone like Nyama Choma?
No, it's true.
This love was not. It was not based on a steady rock.
No.
This love was shaky.
I'm a
how can you love someone like Kachumbari. That is something you eat and finish.
But you know,
now someone like water. You know, water is something you need 24 hours. The body needs water 24
But there's a
hours.
saying that says maji yakimwagika yazoleki. So if
yazoleka, ukienda Lake Victoria yazoleka, ukienda Indian Ocean yazoleka. Oh, I remember.
Maybe the love that was here didn't feel an ocean. Oh, Tarab, yes. So freshly Mwamburi arrives at the airport and he arrives with his uncle Kilinda. Uwanja wa ndege. Grace, maji ya Grace imemwagika, haizoleki tena. Let me drink my tea while Grace is singing. No, wacha kuimba.
Okay, let's continue with the show. That song really touches my heart because for freshly maji yalimwagika. But I'd rather someone love me like water, because if the water is imemwagika, you can still sweat.
The love that freshly expresses you.
Someone does this to you and then you keep singing, come back. After mistreating you
kwenye
like
uwanja wa ndege is when he was writing this.
Because freshly realized early enough that the Chinese were gonna master manipulate him. And this is how they come into the country.
That's a myth.
And kill our dogs.
That's a myth.
Eat our dogs.
That's a myth.
And do you know that in the US, people believe that a cat cannot pass the Chinese corner store?
Why?
Because they'll cook them.
We need to do better, our brothers and sisters.
They'll cook them. This is America. This is in America.
Some of these meats we really need to look at.
This is in America. And then when you go to the Chinese store, like the Chinese ninja chicken that I ate, Grace, it was little square. That chicken had no bones.
Because they know so.
I do not like the chicken. I know. Really, I know chicken. The chicken has 23 parts. The greedy men who marry women who have to count for them chicken have already confirmed. Yeah. Omondi, Awino, Otonglo. A chicken has 23 parts. You go to a Chinese store, no, that chicken is just square meat. That chicken is beef.
You know, my friends, I think that what we're talking about is really just explaining just the types of stories are out there that exist about people, and how even us as ourselves, like myself, I'll be honest, struggling to be culturally competent and sensitive, but also talking about like the issues that happen when these interactions, like racism, things that are valid, right? Yeah. But it's we need to be to be sensitive.
Yeah, okay, we can be sensitive, but Grace, is it true? Is it true? Or Kumechacha, Grace, Kumechacha. Is it true or is it not true that the Chinese serve dogs? Okay, apart from the Chinese, there are 5 African countries that also serve dogs.
Yes.
There are Kenyan communities that eat rats. There are Kenyan communities that eat siafu. They eat ngwen.
Yeah. They eat rats. There's a coastal tribe that eat rats.
Yeah, there are Kenyan communities that fry, roast.
There was a Kenyan
the worms. Yeah. Kenyans eat locusts. Yeah. So why do you choose one animal? Where are we going? Yeah. And then when I come here, like now, I believe that the Chinese eat dogs, all Chinese. But as you've told me, and as we had an earlier discussion, the Catholic Chinese don't even eat meat. Yeah. On Holy Thursday, they don't eat meat. Huh?
Some of them are Buddhist, some of them are vegan completely. Yeah. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Right. Some of them are Buddhist. So some of them are vegetarian. Yeah. So when I came to the US and they asked me how my monkeys were and whether we lived on trees, these are some of the myths that we are having concerning the Chinese as well. We really don't know them. Have you taken time to know your neighbor? Have you ever talked to a Chinese and found out how they feel? Like one of my doctors is a Chinese. When I go to her, she treats me well. She's very well informed. I do not ask her whether she eats dog meat. Yeah, I don't really care what she eats. But I think Kenyans, I don't know if we've been kind to Chinese, even in the diaspora, I don't know if we've been kind to Chinese, because I do know for sure that a lot of the Chinese have given us opportunities. Go to Nairobi University, we have the Confucius Institute. And this institute, it's manned, it is paid for, it has been sponsored by the Chinese government. A lot of Kenyans are there. Some of them are singing choir in Mandarin. They're singing Chinese. And when the Chinese visitors come, they don't entertain them in Swahili. They entertain them in Chinese songs. Do you know any Chinese song?
No,
not yet. So we'll learn. We'll come and sing here Chinese song. So if we have a Confucius Institute in Nairobi, and it has professors from China, and these professors are teaching Kenyans to speak Mandarin, and these Kenyans are on scholarship. They have been going to China, getting jobs, marrying Chinese women, and sending money abroad. And China is among one of the countries that really send a lot of money back home. Yeah. So why don't we look at these opportunities again?
We need to look at ourselves as a people.
Like,
so when we're talking about the opportunities that are opened up, or even looking at, like, I was in Donholm, and me and a Chinese couple are in line. We're both buying milk, and I'm like, I thought these people would live in Westlands or live somewhere different, but they're in our own neighborhoods. Donholm, Eastlands. Right?
Yeah, even here. They live with us. Right. They live in all these parts. When they pass, when you pass by Tujipange Studios, you see them carrying a bag. They go to the fish market. Yeah, they don't live a large life. And I was just comparing some of the lives of some of the Chinese I've seen. I was talking to a Chinese. Before I even go there, the Kenyans have been importing clothes from China and selling them. If you go to Jamia Mosque, if you go to all these shops, you have this uniform that Kenyans wear to work. The grey suit. It comes in size 10, size 14, and size 16. And these are all from China. Kenya is importing suits, tailored suits from China. When we used to have a textile industry, we had Rivertex, we had Kikomi that were killed. We had some of the best tailors. When I was growing up, one of my uncles made very good clothes. They were good tailors all over Kenya. Everybody had their tailor. But there's an area in which there's a way in which we have failed. You know?
As for us,
yes,
yeah, and this is where this is the part at which I'm very passionate about. When we're busy casting the, when you point when you're looking at a log in somebody's eye and you don't notice the speck that's in
your own eye.
This we need to look at what are these opportunities. Sometimes maybe we feel like opportunities are being robbed from us, but what are these conditions that allow that let people, these opportunities exist to people. They can live in our own neighborhoods, that they can operate freely and do business. What are we doing as a people to make sure that these opportunities are available for us more equitably? When you're talking about how the government chooses its contracts, right? How are they doing it? Are they doing it, Grace? Grace, I'm trying to finish a statement here. But I'm saying that it's important that we look at ourselves and look at the ways that we are perpetuating the summer conditions that we find ourselves in. When we're looking at government contracts and accountability and tenders from that level, what is the quality of the materials that we are bringing? Are there institutions that are in place that make sure that we can bring quality and standard that's on par, that can compete on that level? What are we doing to bring that in? If we're talking about SGR and whatever is happening about workforce in the workforce, who is going to be there to advocate for these workers to get the opportunities? If we're moving for vision, if we're moving for vision,
can't build roads.
No, I'm
Kenyans
saying,
can't build roads. When they came, we had roads.
No, Grace, I'm saying, us as Kenyans, we need to set these standards. We need to arise and challenge ourselves to world standards. We need to stand and recognize, why are these people coming to our country, right? We're so busy trying to move into different countries. Why are they coming? We are the only continent that still has access to its natural resources, right? If we squander this, if we are not smart about the way that we make deals, and if we are not smart about our own selves, we'll find ourselves in, because those are different countries. I hope to go back to Kenya someday. There are people that go back to Kenya. People want to reverse brain drain, right? What resources are going out to the countries?
I just want to know about the dogs.
Grace. No, this is part of me. I feel very strongly about this because if we are complaining, right, we need to look at ourselves.
I want to.
Let me help.
Baiskeli yangu mama haina kengele. Baiskeli yangu mama haina kengele. Baiskeli yangu mama haina kengele. Yeah, haina kengele. I think we were going to introduce you to some dogs.
Kumechacha dogs.
Kumechacha dogs, where are you? Kumechacha dogs. Where are you, Kumechacha dogs? So we have a surprise for our viewers. Thank you. We have a surprise for our viewers. These are our new Kumechacha dogs. Okay, just have them here. Have them on the tape.
So
Samsoni akadanganywa na Delilah, akasema siri zote, Delilah akamnyoa Samsoni.
I don't want them to be on our beautiful
table. Oh Lord, yeah.
These
are
our.
Hey, Grace, can you hold the puppy like this? Hold the puppy like this.
Hold the puppy like this.
Yeah, hold the puppy. Like this. Yeah, make her feel. So this here, we want to introduce you to Kumechacha dogs. These are dogs that are going to take care of Tujipange Studios because we have our equipment here which we want to be safe. And these dogs will be appearing in every show. And you'll watch them grow. And we just want to give you a warning. Yeah, this is
Samson.
That is Samson, and this is Delilah. So Samson is 7.5 months or 7.5 weeks old, and Delilah is 7.5 weeks old. They are brother and sister. And we just wanted to introduce you to them. You'll be seeing them in some of our shows.
Yes.
And as they grow, we want to ensure that nobody eats them up. Remember, these are pet dogs. They are our family. We don't want them served in any corner store or any restaurant. Okay? So a big shout out to Letitia Tucker and her family for donating the dogs to Tujipange Studios.
Thank you.
Bye, Samson and Delilah.
It's taking my zebra crossing.
Yeah, so just imagine if somebody ate your family. Can you imagine someone eating Delilah and Samson? Look at how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
But so Grace, let's move on.
Yeah, thank you so much for we had some thoughts, ideas, strong beliefs that we have.
Grace, just remind me how Freshly cried. How she cried. He cried when the baby came. Sorry, when the 4 feet.
Na hapo ndege iliposhuka uwanjani tuliona vituko. Stella alishuka amebeba mtoto mkononi. Chini yake mchumba wake mfupi, futi 4 Mjapani. Nilisikitika ndani ya moyo, nisijue la kufanya. Nilitamani kulia kikamba, lakini sikujui. Nilitambini nilie Kijaluo, angatima ngoa joa freshileni. Nilitamani kulia Kihindi, lakini sikujui. Ilinibidi nilie Tabia ya baba na mama. Ilinibidi nilie Kitaita, reke mwana nibonye vada freshileni. Hey, he cried. We sympathize. Thank
you for listening to us. Let us continue this conversation. Let us overcome our prejudices. Let us know our Chinese brothers and sisters. We can learn from them and they can learn from us. Every day is a learning experience.
And not everyone is Chinese.
Not everybody is Chinese.
Lesson 1.
And remember, there are Chinese Catholics, there are Chinese Protestants, there are Chinese Buddhists. So welcome them to your church. Welcome them to your open spaces. Human beings are human beings. Yes. Beneath the skin is only red blood. And we are all vessels. We are going 6 feet under. So, Grace, give me another topic.
So, we want to talk about.
I want to get out of this pain.
We want to do borrowing and lending.
Yes.
And we are reminded by Freshly Mwamburi the impact of borrowing and lending.
Investment without returns.
Maybe let's talk about investment with returns. It can be a tricky issue, right?
Yes.
So borrowing and lending in the diaspora is in some cases is quite different from borrowing in Kenya and maybe other collective cultures. And we have noticed some important things that you need to be aware of when you're engaging in borrowing and lending.
Yes.
The first thing I want to say is credit.
Yes.
Credit is not free money.
No.
It's not free money.
No.
And it will follow you.
So
be careful about where you get a credit is basically a loan that you can continue running if you kind of break it down to the constituent parts.
Yeah, so there's secured credit where you put your money in and then you can use it and repay it. And there's unsecured credit where they give you up to 1,000 or 3,000, but you have to pay it within a due date.
The secured credit card is the one if you're building a credit history, they have you build a secured. You can choose to keep secured, but then you can also move to unsecured.
Yeah, especially don't get your credit cards and start spending it on food. Yeah, it's really meant for.
I hear we spend as Kenyans, we spend a lot of money on food.
And I'm still just going back. Normally, when you come here as a refugee, sometimes they give you some money, especially when they transport you. Did you know that refugees are supposed to pay back the money for the transport?
Oh, I didn't know.
It is a loan. Yeah. So when you come here and you're given some cash assistance, a lot of Kenyans go and buy Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this Chinese that we hate so much, we are always in their restaurants, we are always in corner stores, we enjoy their food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm giving you an example of a Kenyan family that came and they spent like $1,000 in 1 week eating in Chinese restaurants, shopping in Chinatown. When on the other hand, when I talk to a Chinese man, they say they don't borrow. I asked a Chinese woman and man, why are you successful in the US or in all over the world? They said when they come over, they meet 10 of them. Instead of borrowing money, they meet together and put the money in a pot.
So what you're talking about, it's more of a family thing, more like informal then.
Yeah, it's informal.
Yeah.
It's kind of a borrowing.
Or like a chama.
It's like a chama. Yeah, so the Chinese have a chama and they're serious about it. So they start with one shop, invest everything in it. Once the shop, everybody has a percentage in this shop. Then once the money grows, the business grows, they move on to another shop. That's one form of borrowing. You can borrow from a merry-go-round. So we do have merry-go-rounds even here.
Yeah, they can be physical, within a physical location. It can also happen, we see a lot of that online. Yeah. And those are concepts where you get updates. Maybe some people have decided to invest in other properties or use the money in other ways. But the main concept is that continuing that merry-go-round system. And I think the online Facebook has really exploded that.
Yeah, but one thing I must say is that it's difficult to lend people money personally because the US is all about bills. There are bills for housing, bills for gas, bills for electricity, bills for water, bills for education.
There's also tax.
Yeah. So a lot of the times when you go to borrow somebody money from somebody, they will really tell you no. And they just like straightforward no. Yeah. But if someone lends you money in the US, especially the community here, you kind of need to repay it back. Because if you don't pay it back, they will have nothing to do with you. It's not like our families where if Grace lends
you money,
maybe
I borrow money, I want you to stop being friends.
Grace, when did you last?
Maybe I should start borrowing money that
way. So if you want to stop being friends,
that's an easy
if you want to stop being friends with somebody, borrow money and disappear. Disappear. So people have been using very devious, tricky, very clever ways, PhD ways of borrowing money.
Yeah.
Say that your mother is sick. Say that your brother is in hospital.
Like your grandmother has died
stories.
5 times.
You have to be very creative to borrow money here. But just to keep your sanity, you can. A lot of Kenyan banks are here.
A lot of Kenyan banks do diaspora banking. There are banks like Equity, Gulf Bank, Standard. A lot of, I think most of the banks that are in Kenya also have provision of features for diaspora banking. This is in addition to other circles. There are circles that are both in Kenya and operate on online. I don't have any that come at the top of my head, but there are a lot of them that you'll see on Facebook. Legitimate circles that have members and all this stuff, they create that on Facebook.
Yeah, and they,
another thing is investments. Maybe sometimes you don't want to borrow and lend money. Sometimes you want to invest money. There are like center investments. We saw that money market funds are also available. And nowadays with the technology, it's really with online banking and mobile banking. There's no such thing as waiting. You can get your statement, everything at an instant. So it's a revolution. You can even get a diaspora loan. Yes, a loan from a Kenyan bank.
Through the circle. Because when you go to a bank here, like I was looking for some money one of the days, and they told me I was a risk factor. A risk factor means I don't have a loan. I have no history. I have nothing to convince them that if they give me this money, I will repay it.
It's almost contradictory that in order to have credit, you need to build credit. You need to take a loan in order for you to get a better rating. So it's like you have to be really smart in how you're balancing them because you need to get into debt a little bit so you can raise your ability because they have to verify that you're able to handle the type of debt they're going to be giving you.
Yeah, but Grace, me, if I borrow money from you and I can't return it and I see you coming, I'll just cross the road. And even if you say hello, Grace, I'll be like, I don't know you. I don't know you really.
Come here.
It's hard. It's hard. Repaying money is hard. That's why Shakespeare says neither a borrower or a lender be. Because the moment you lend money, if someone comes to me for money, I normally just give them what I can afford. I'm not like, I won't say, return this to me on this day. I'll give you whatever I can and say, I've given you this. Yeah,
but I think when we're comparing, sometimes they have benefits and borrowing and lending is not such a formal banking is not so common in Kenya.
Yeah.
So the informal ones are very much, present. And we want to say that whatever strategy you're using, do it smartly.
Yeah, but the reason why I fear borrowing money is like if I borrow money from people and then someone and they start talking about me, you know, everybody will know that, oh, so and so helped me, they lent me this money. If I don't return it, they'll post it on Facebook. Some of these Facebook websites are crazy, I tell you. Yeah, so my name will be out there, and I really don't want to be.
Be smart. Don't don't be asking for money to have ghost farms and acreage. Don't take advantage of the needs that people have in the community. Sometimes people want to put interest. Some people put money, borrow and lend to invest, social investment.
Yes.
Don't take advantage of that.
Yes.
You know, because people are out here in groups and associations with kind hearts that want to give, that want to support.
Yeah.
Don't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
You know, it ruins the whole thing. Yeah. And
so, have you ever borrowed money?
It depends.
No.
Who's asking?
Have you borrowed money?
So I personally, I use a credit card.
Yeah.
So that's a level of borrowing.
No, like borrowing. I've borrowed. Have you borrowed shoes?
No.
Have you borrowed a dress?
Yeah.
You borrowed a dress?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, they are beautiful.
I don't borrow a dress.
You just wash the quaps and you're done.
You borrow a dress?
Yeah.
What's wrong with your dress?
I don't have that one.
She
has one that I want, so I will borrow it. Ni ungwana. And I'm being honest.
Why you borrow a dress?
Like, I borrow a dress because...
you want to look like the other person or what?
No, sometimes there's some dresses that make you feel,
So if you borrow a dress and someone does not return it, if someone borrows a dress or you borrow something,
I'm going to their closet.
Supposing it gets stained with coffee.
See, that's why you need to know.
You know, you'll be paying cash.
All I will say to that is know your friends, know who you can lend your personal items to, and not. That's all.
Yeah. So basically that. Think before you borrow.
Think before you borrow.
Don't live in debt unless necessary. Sometimes you have a medical bill. Sometimes you have school fees. That's another.
In some countries, it's necessary to live in debt. Like sometimes getting a car. Sometimes you unless you are spending a lot of money, a lot of people lease their cars.
Yeah. So I was worried because I had a debt of $300. And the person told me, "Why are you worried? I have a debt of $50,000."
It's just
I was like, wow.
Yeah. So a little bit about borrowing and lending. We'll get more into just the financial aspects of kujipanga in the diaspora. So
tumejipanga. We don't care if we wear the same shoe every day. You know, we don't care if we wear the same clothes every day. We'll be repeating
in primary
some of
school.
these
We wore a shoe until it ran out, and after it ran out, we wear pumps.
We wore
pumps, you wear a collar.
Sometimes,
You know, if you didn't have a collar, you wear slippers. You know, and life goes on. Life continues. And then on our last topic is volunteering.
Yes.
And I think coming to this country really taught me the importance of humility, and especially from the perspective of doing something vigorously.
Yes.
With passion, with no pay, right? Towards a bigger goal, towards a greater goal. And we want to encourage, especially I know it's August, September, a lot of new college students are from welcome to America, welcome to Europe, wherever you are studying, China where you're starting school. You know, it's
Dubai.
important. Yeah, it's important that you start looking into volunteering activities, because this is the way you build your resume. This is how people build experience, your internships. And even if you're someone, you're an adult, you finish your schooling, volunteering is still an active part of life.
Yeah.
You know?
So just to mention, like in my case, when I came, I could not continue with my career. And I had to do odd jobs. But it really helped. I started volunteering, and by the time I had volunteered for almost 2 years, they identified me as one of the people with the skills. They said, why go for a new person when you already have someone with experience? Yes, I was able to get the job that I've held for some years now, just because of volunteering. Grace, do you know that there are people who will not do anything for free?
For free.
You have to pay them. If they could make you do it, they would even charge you for the air that you breathe next to them.
Let me tell you, I was at Nairobi Airport.
So greedy.
My friend.
So greedy.
I was at Nairobi Airport, struggling, waiting for my packages to come in.
Greedy.
Let me tell you, no one will help you until you're like, help me.
Yeah,
nisaidie nipate sanduku. You know, it's that type of like culture, and I think makes us like be a bit quiet when it comes to being assertive, because volunteering is about assertion.
Yes,
you're not doing something like you're going to get paid at the end of the day.
Yeah, and
my career switch, when I first found my career switch, I give a major shout out to Dr. Ochola, because Dr. Ochola directed me to a volunteer internship position that within the health services in Philadelphia, that really I would say changed my life. And it was volunteering. It was not something that I did that someone paid me for, or I had to bribe someone for. It was something where you go out and you ask, you request, you network, and you get a key opportunity. It may not be that exact thing, but it may put you on the path that can allow you to achieve the things that you've set out for yourself in years to come.
And also when you're volunteering, a lot of organizations have these big events. They have health fair, they have job fair. That is where you're going to meet the person who will be your boss.
Very true.
Yeah, so don't stay indoors. Don't be frustrated. Don't say, oh, I can't be a doctor, I can't be an engineer, I can't be whatever you were before you came here. Get a complete paradigm shift. Think anew, and volunteer, and you'll soon find yourself into
assert yourself, you know. I think for a lot of us as Kenyans, we need to like build that part of ourselves, you know. Just put it out there. If you don't put it out there, no one will know.
Say what you've done before. They will see. Show them. They will see. Don't say show them. If you can't talk, show them. Action speaks louder than words.
Very, very.
So we'd like to encourage you out there, go to volunteer websites, volunteer opportunities in Philadelphia, volunteer opportunities in the US, and they're all listed in the resources. Call them. You know,
even if you see like websites like Eventbrite that post about events that happen in the community, free or otherwise, that's a good way for you to see what's happening in the city. Go to their website, see if they have volunteering opportunities. Sometimes they can sign for you a letter that you can also show your prospective employer. Oh, I did 20 hours of work here. I gave this thing. I worked with this national thing. I did this. You know, it makes a difference.
Yeah, and a lot of the times when kids are on holiday, or whether it's summer vacation, the ones who don't go camping, they come to workplaces and volunteer. You can find someone even coming with their child. You can find very young people, aged 10, 12, 13, volunteering. Yeah, these are kids who will put in their resumes that I did this during my school holiday. And
you wonder why you're competing with a second year college student for that job. Yeah.
And you know, when we were growing up, Grace, we had volunteering, but it was called apprenticeship. So someone would take you under their care. If it was training, if it was fixing a bicycle, whatever it was, if it was frying fish, someone always volunteered. You know, someone always called you and trained you. They didn't pay you. They just taught you the art. So you don't always have to be paid for what you do.
I know in Kenya there's a lot of one of the maybe volunteering events that we see a lot are the walks. We also see community cleaning exercises. I would love to see what more exists in Kenya, because I think maybe also in Kenya, I would love to hear some feedback on the impact of volunteering in Kenya. Do you put that on a resume? What impact does it have? Has it helped you in the past? And you need to, even if you volunteered in Kenya, you can still leverage that experience in a resume that you write. You know?
Like just this
it's week, how you write it.
Yeah,
it's how you show yourself. It's how you express yourself. Yeah.
So this week, someone just came to me. Someone who's been volunteering with us just came to me to write a reference for them. And I wrote that I know him. We've worked with him. He's been volunteering, showing up every day.
Those are powerful.
Very consistent. And he got the job. He got the job yesterday. He came back and told me, I got the job because of the reference. And how you relate with people is really, really important. Don't undermine anybody. Don't treat people badly, because you don't know who will be in the other seat tomorrow. Yeah, that's true. So, Grace, enough of that. Let's what's happening? Kumechacha. What is happening? What events are going on?
There's a lot of things happening. We'll start with what's happening September 1st. That is today. Yes.
To this evening at the Marriott Hotel in Texas. Come out in large numbers. Come out in your thousands. Diaspora, all diaspora, not just Kenya, because this is the Kenyan Oscars.
Dr. Mogaka, the ticket's still available. I see they were selling like hotcakes.
And this is really amazing.
I'm excited. I hope they can live stream or take some photos.
And we're going to have, I think it's Miss Lily Richards of Fritu, who's one of the mistresses of ceremony.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
We have 2 events that are happening within the Pennsylvania area, and this is for other states. if you have events that you are bringing together, inbox us. We'd love to share it with the people that are watching this episode, and not just within the US, globally. You know, we're in Doha, Mkoapi, and the next event that we have is a Kenyan Community and Friends Barbecue. This is happening on September 29th, and this is in Harrisburg, PA, at Lingle Park. September 1st. Ni September 1st. Ni lini?
No, which one?
The Kenyan Community and Friends Barbecue.
September 29th.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes. Everything is happening. So September 29th.
A big shout out to my sister-in-law, Bokech, in Germany. I know you're doing great things. I know you have a big event, fundraiser. You're going to be a guest speaker. We're going to give you the date next week. Yes.
Another event is the first annual International Cultural Festival. This is happening at the Lehigh Valley at Arts Park. It's happening at Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's September 14th and 15th. I found this information on, I think this was you can find this information online, or if you're a member of the groups on Pennsylvania and all that, feel free to look on Facebook. There may be a Kenyan group or a affiliated cultural group near you. Check back and subscribe to them if you can, to get in touch with the events that are happening. Yeah.
Yes, and to Nancy Fambi and the Ondigo family in Kendu Bay, you lost your grandmother, and we know you're burying her. We just want to condole with you. As you mourn your grandma in Kenya. Yes.
And on that, Kumechacha.
Kumechacha leo na Mjapanisi. Kumechacha.
Let's love each other. Let's have everybody.
Kumechacha.
Oh, have a happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, everybody.
Happy Saturday.